So hello everyone, good morning. My name is Barbara Fluegge from Digital Value Creators, and I'm very pleased to have Sarifa Jones here on the other line, on the other, let's say, half of the world from Australia, joining me. Hello, Sarifa. Sarifa, we are talking today about Mobility Moves Minds. So it's an initiative I created also in collaboration with Homeless Entrepreneur, Combating Homelessness. And what it means is that we're investigating into overcoming obstacles. That's one of your key themes as well. And looking into mobility and the three dimensions. So digital mobility, like what we see and experience now, especially with video calls, but also making use of digitization. Physical mobility, what we are very much aware of, especially in pandemic times, but also when we are, let's say, in normal business and personal environments. How far are we mobile? What is our right to mobility? And then the third part, the third dimension is mental mobility. So what does it mean that we are prepared, that we have self-consciousness, that we have mindfulness, and how to actually overcome obstacles. So explain a little bit where you're coming from and what is your interest in Mobility Moves Minds?
Yes, I'm Sarifa Alonto-Younes. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I'm originally from the Philippines and I lived in 3 countries. 1/3 of my life I spent in the Philippines and the second third in Malaysia and the last third here in Australia in Melbourne. Yes. So when it comes to mobility, you said that there are 3 types of mobility: the physical mobility, the digital mobility, and cognitive mental mobility. Yes, when it comes to digital mobility, with this pandemic, I know that a lot of people are facing a lot of the obstacle. We have now the universal obstacle. I call it the universal obstacles. This COVID-19, it's a pandemic that the whole world is affected. We can't deny that it has a very serious effect on many people. Some were, just bear in mind that people have lost their lives, people have lost their jobs, people have lost their businesses. A lot of businesses shut down across the globe. So that's when we need to adapt to digital mobility, because we can't waste our time, and it's a time for us to adapt to those people who are not well versed of digital platform. It is now the first time, and as you can see, a lot of businesses are moving to this digital platform. Social media platform is the best example. And now what we are doing now, we are people are dealing businesses through online virtual conferences now. We are no longer standing on stages, but rather we are having the Zoom, the virtual online learning. Students across the globe, particularly those in the university, they are now learning through digital. Yeah, and so reimagining the education system of education, having that blended, some country there have the blended, which is virtual, letting them know how to experience virtually, and also the theory through this. And this is for the safety of everyone's well-being. So I see that digital mobility now is very, very important for everyone, and it's now the right time to learn it. Yes, if you want to succeed with your business, with your education, and with your speaking engagement, also for those speakers. And then the physical mobility. We are very aware that we normally, as human beings, we are very physical. We like to move a lot. We like face-to-face. We like to be face-to-face because that's where the emotion is, you know. But during this time, it is a sacrifice. It's an obstacle that we need to accept. We need to accept that this is now our current situation. It may take a year, 6 months, or beyond that, but it's some things that we need to discipline ourselves. Having that also physically, because we are not moving a lot, but in the house we can create a platform where we are moving a lot. We have a routine exactly when we are doing physical work, where we wake up from this particular time, get up from the bed, do your routine when you have your breakfast, get ready, have shower, wear your work clothes. Every single day I wear my clothes, so just to put me in the mood that I'm working. Though I am on the phone or on online, still I wear my clothes. So I am programming myself that I am ready for anything, and I am physically working. So that's how I adapt it, and I would encourage the people across the globe to do the same thing. Otherwise, it will just holding us back. This pandemic, you know.
Yes.
And also, when you say about mental mental thing, you know, mobility.
Mental mobility, how I call it, yes. So cognitive mobility, cognitive flexibility,
yes,
right?
I call it cognitive flexibility also, in a sense that it is the best time for us now. We have to learn that skills and train our cognition, ourselves, how do we shift and adapt to different situations quickly without being affected. We need to have the cognitive flexibility now. Now is the right time to practice. Some people, they get affected so easily. That is because they have not acquired the skills of being mentally flexible. Train yourself to be cognitively to have the cognitive flexibility. It is very, very important. Otherwise, you will be cognitively, emotionally, and psychologically affected by this pandemic if you are not ready to be flexible. You know. So, sorry.
That's a very that's great, because what you mentioned on the education part, what we are working on, my company and I, together with teachers and parents, is to look into what does it mean to have a new way of educating, a new way of teaching, a new way of coaching.
Yes.
Because when we look at the education systems and we talk about cognitive flexibility, there's of course a postponement simply because of the 3-4 year study programs and the way of how to deal with not only social media, virtual media, what happens in the entire gaming industry, where are our kids, where do they actually socially connect, right? So we also see then different target groups. And this is also what we will be covering in Mobility Moves Minds. So we look into individuals and we look into what we need and what you need and what others need, right?
Yes.
And we look also onto the organizational layer of what does it mean to be flexible cognitively, beyond video calls, beyond conference calls. What does it really mean to transform as an organization into a digital organization? What does it mean how to actually leverage the layer of physical mobility, like what you were mentioning before we just started the recording? What does it mean if we don't know yet what happens in 1 month, what happens in 2 months? And of course our assets and your assets as an organization are being affected. The goods, the components, spare parts delivery, not even talking about food, medicine, and our let's say everything that's important to just to do our living and help us to actually sustain in the future, right? So we are now stop the recording because there will be more. Also before throughout the book publication that's scheduled for fall winter this year. So will be a very interesting compilation and outline of what social models actually will look like for individuals and organizations. So you all actually will see and also get a model that is adaptable for your own organizational and personal needs, right? So I'm just stopping here now the recording.